Welcome to another episode of the Better Late Than Never podcast. And today I have my co-host Brady the Social Stud.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here, as I am every week.
And we also have today a special guest that I went to school with. We was both part of the same major. They're a radio and TV production major. So I'm here to introduce everyone to Tyler.
Hey Anthony, thank you for having me.
So what
How you
did you
doing?
tell everyone about yourself? So what is it that you do? Let everyone know.
Right now I go to SUNY New Paltz and I'm majoring in communications and I love it here. It's great. I bounced off from going to Suffolk and I'm just having a blast here. I learned a lot from that and I'm just excited to be here.
Okay, cool. That's great. So you can let everyone know where to find you and all that.
Everybody you could reach me at li.supreme.raffles on Instagram and give me a follow and I'll follow you guys back.
Yes, get my man over here. Try to get my man over here to 1,000 followers. That's what we're shooting for, right?
Yeah, 1,000 followers. We gotta make it to 100,000 one day.
That's right. So let's get into the main topic here. Today we're going to be discussing video game consoles, the ninth generation, since that's now in full swing. I believe the PS5 and the Xbox Series, that's what they're calling it. That stuff
Yes, sir.
is out.
So I've heard.
That stuff is out. The Switch has been out since like 2017. So we'll be discussing, what we want to see from that stuff, how it's performing so far, what games are coming out or will be coming out.
Dope.
So I guess we can start with the Switch, since that's already out and Brady has that. So how have you been enjoying your Switch so far?
I love the Switch. Like, one thing about Nintendo that I always appreciate, it seems like the other consoles, they're spec upgrades in a lot of way, and like sometimes you'll look towards their exclusives or whatever, but Nintendo, the last few consoles, they've always been trying to do something very different, and it seems like the Switch is the culmination of some consoles that admittedly weren't amazing. Like the Wii wasn't perfect, but it was an interesting idea. The Wii.
What do you mean the Wii wasn't perfect? Are you kidding me? Wii Bowling, Wii Sports, that's classic. What do you mean the Wii wasn't perfect?
I think they perfected a lot of their faults with the Switch. While it's not the most powerful system, I think it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I mean, I think one of the good things about the Switch is that it's both like a big console and a portable one at the same time.
Absolutely. That's the main deal here. I'm willing to, like, every time people will plug the Xbox, a lot of the times they talk about like how powerful it is, but like I'm not as much of a nerd when it comes to that stuff. I don't know if does that like appeal to either of you? Are you really worried about one being like slightly more powerful than the other?
Not really. I mean, as long as it's functional, that's all that really matters to me.
Those arguments have never really swayed me in one direction or another, but like I know how that matters to some people, but most of the people that seems to matter the most to are probably on PC.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it just depends. Like, what kind of game do you want to play? Like, are you playing online with your friends? Are you just playing by yourself?
Yeah.
It depends what kind of console is just for you. That's why there's so many out there. You got the Switch, the new Xbox, and the PlayStation. It's just what fits your needs and how that company markets it.
Yeah. And when you talk about online, I tend to think about the other two consoles, but I think Switch is a little underrated on that because it's really like cheap by comparison. Like it is probably the cheapest online experience that you can get, while the exclusives are not as good. That's kind of one of the problems. Yeah, I wouldn't go to the Switch if you wanted shooters.
My I don't have a Switch personally. My brother does, and he loves it. Takes it everywhere all the time. He plays a lot of Fortnite and played Minecraft on it a bunch of times, and it's just basically like I said before, what really matches your needs. Is a Switch something that you want to take everywhere? You know, play in the car, go on vacation, play in the hotel room, and take it everywhere. And that's the great thing about it. And Nintendo is really smart on how they market that, because it's like, well, the Xbox, you can't really do that because you need an outlet. And the same thing with the PlayStation, you need everything of that. It's like, okay, well, I could take this in my car. It's just like a phone. And that was the really smart thing that Nintendo did.
As far as exclusives go, that's one of the big arguments, I would say, in favor of like one console or another. Like, we know what exclusives Nintendo's going to get. We got like the Mario games and whatever. Do you guys know about any of the exclusives this time around for Xbox or PS5? Have they talked about it?
I know that for the PS5, they usually do MLB for a PlayStation. That's usually exclusive, and then they usually do what's the game called? Spider-Man. So then it's like, oh, okay, so then Xbox doesn't offer that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The Spider-Man games are huge right now, so that might be a huge draw.
Yeah, it really is. You got, everybody loves Spider-Man. Everybody knows about Spider-Man, and for it to be Sony exclusive to PlayStation is insane because they have the rights to it.
Yeah,
you go back to the disputes with the Marvel and everything like that, and Sony, they have disputes over, oh, I want Spider-Man, okay, but then you got to put our credits in the end and the beginning. It's like, oh, okay, so Sony makes money off of everything.
Yeah. I think they've got something good. Like, I don't know what Xbox has. Like, ever since the beginning of time, I've only thought of Xbox as like the Halo console, and Halo's not really as big as it used to be, so I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to like Xbox, the first thing I think of is like Minecraft. I remember playing like with my friends when I was younger, and they're staying up for like 8-10 hours a day and playing Minecraft all the time. And Microsoft has the rights to that, so there's that side of it. But I definitely think PlayStation is coming out on top, especially with the PS5.
Yeah. What do you think, Anthony? You got any thoughts?
I don't know what exclusives the Xbox actually has. I do know with the PS5, they have quite a few that's coming out. Like they have the new Ratchet and Clank game that's coming out. I believe Final Fantasy 16 is going to be an exclusive.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed, there's the PlayStation games, they've historically seemed to have a lot more of like the anime themed titles over there. I don't know if that's drawing any, like there's like the mainline ones, like you have like those Naruto games and the Dragon Ball games, and those will be on any console, but like some of the more obscure things, I don't know if you guys play any of those RPG title things, like the more obscure ones, but that could also draw me a little bit towards the PlayStation 5. Right now, I'm a PS4 person. I don't have an Xbox, so I'm inclined to stick with it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I've
always been...
Oh, go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was gonna say, like, what are your guys' experience with like Xbox in general? Like, have you guys like ever played an Xbox console, owned one?
Yeah, well, I've always throughout my entire life, like even when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I always had an Xbox. I've never had a PlayStation ever. And since the new Xbox, I think it's Xbox One X that just came out, and the PS5, I want the PS5 so bad. Like I want to try. And the PlayStation did such a good job marketing and making the presentation of the PlayStation so much better than the Xbox, in my opinion. I mean, if you compare the two, there's the very similar with the graphics and the just everything in that sort, in that comparison. But it's just who markets it better and what's the presentation look like. You look at the Xbox One X, it's just a giant rectangle box, and then you look at the PS5, and it's just this like futuristic white white thing with like the blue coming out of it. They did such a better job, and you can't even find them anywhere. They're sold out everywhere. The Xbox and the PS5. Like, it's so hard to get.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on either of their physical designs at this point. Like, that's not a huge sell for me either way, but I don't know. Neither of them really are doing it for me. As far
You're
as
just gonna stick with the Nintendo Switch for now?
Yeah, I have a PS4, and I don't know what would draw me towards a PS5. I feel like I would go for the PS5 if I really wanted to get to the next gen, but I don't really see any reason to. I don't know what's drawing me there. I haven't really gotten big into the Spider-Man games yet, but I think aren't they making like the Miles Morales game? Isn't that on PS4 as well?
Yes, and then it's gonna be exclusive on PS5. It's just so many things that PlayStation is just making exclusive, so that it's always gonna be like when you think of a game console, I feel like it goes like Xbox and PS5, and then Nintendo is like right there at number 2. And so like PS5 and Xbox always clash heads to decide who's going to be the better console. And there's been debate over years. You guys would probably agree on that, on who's the better console. And I feel like it goes back and forth every year. It's like, oh no, PS5 has these games, but Xbox has these games. You know what I mean? And PS5 Network is better, but Xbox Live is better. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So there's just so many back and forth issues on both those consoles, and it's just always at a war.
Yeah. One thing I'm very surprised about with this generation is that game streaming isn't at the forefront. While people like having a physical copy of things, I felt like everything would start moving a little bit more towards like you subscribe to something and you get a catalog of stuff. But and it seemed like they were kind of pushing that. Like PlayStation has I think that's its Plus catalog or something like that. And I subscribed to that like once over a year ago. And it's a good experience. If they really marketed that, I think there's a lot of potential there. But it doesn't seem like any of that is at the forefront. It doesn't seem like this generation is what's ready for that.
I agree. It's just, I feel like I'm not even like that was a good point that you just brought up, but not even that what you just said, but with the PS5 and with the Xbox is like I said, it's so hard to find, but people are reselling it for twice as much. So you go buy it for $400, and I don't know if you guys ever heard of a website called StockX before. It seems you could sell like streetwear on and sneakers, and you could sell the PS5 on there, and it's going for like $880 right now.
Sounds sketchy.
No, it's 100%. Like I've used it before to sell like sneakers before, and it's 100% legit. Like they pay you out, and it's 100% legit. Like
I
no
mean, if
worries.
you're marking it up that much, I have no reason to believe that you're trying to scam me or anything like that. You're scamming me by virtue of how much I'm paying. So yeah, it's not that bad. So I get it.
Yeah.
So I am definitely leaning towards the PS5, but I feel no urgency, and it feels like right now when I'm stuck inside so much more, I should be feeling a little more urgent to do it, but I'm just not very excited about it. I don't know what it's gonna take.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even like
what kind of games you're looking for?
It's funny because I've been playing a lot of the games I've been playing are on the older side, and I'm like getting back into like old Yu-Gi-Oh games and stuff like that. Stuff that I really don't need a console for. I could just do Duel Links or something like that. I played LA Noire recently, and that game's old as dirt at this point. I've played Skyrim a million times, and I'm still not bored of it. Like I move on so slowly, so I don't know if I'm the type of person they'd market to.
Well, like not only just that, but like it's expensive, dude. Like it's $400 for a console. Yeah. Like that's a lot of money. And that's just for the digital version. So if you want like the disc, then it's $500. You know what I mean? So that's just not some money that like kids have. But not only that, but when you think of it like that, it's like, okay, but don't the prices going to go down during Christmas? And I'm sure like Walmart's going to be like, get 10% off if you come at Black Friday to, do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, okay, so then that's how you market it better and that's how you sell more. But then it's like, okay, then the people who don't have $400, $500 can also buy it with a discount.
Yeah. I'm a little bit I'm a little bit concerned about the holiday season on this one. Like the Switch is missing out here. There's actually like a Nintendo Switch shortage right now. I've been trying to get one for somebody in my family, and it's a hard thing to track down. I assume the newer consoles won't have as much trouble with that, but given the time, I don't know how well it's going to work out. Hey, it's Jennifer. Was that like a chat thing? Do we have new technology in the stream?
Yeah, something I've been messing around with.
Oh, I like it.
This last year. Yeah. What I was gonna say is I actually like the designs for the consoles.
Oh yeah.
For example, the Xbox Series. One thing I actually like is that it actually is a box. So it's actually its namesake. That's something I enjoy, even if it is big and bulky.
To be fair, the GameCube is one of my favorite older consoles. So, like, I can't even really hate on the shape.
Yeah. And the PS5, like you said, it looks so futuristic. And it's the first time it's not just like a big black console. It actually has like a unique design, which is something it didn't really have as much since the PS1.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they need to be all that fancy looking.
I appreciate it.
I honestly think people are content with like big black boxes.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too. Is that I'm also glad that those two consoles are finally like distinctive from each other, because for a while they were kind of looking like the same thing.
Yeah, like the original Xbox 360 was white, right?
Yeah. No, it was black.
Oh, really? I remember like the first generation of it being white.
No, I'm pretty sure it was black. The Xbox One S was the white one that came out.
Oh, I don't remember. I had an Xbox 360. That's the one Xbox console that I spent a lot of time with, but that was like Red Ring of Death generation, and that kind of turned me off the Xbox for a while. I think that they lost a lot of good faith with people on that one.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but it still did very well.
Yeah, but they got destroyed in the last console wars. Like PS4 destroyed them.
Yeah, but the Xbox One wasn't really sold well. It wasn't advertised well.
Yeah, but I still think it might just be PlayStation putting out a consistent product. Usually they don't really have big issues. If they're failing, they're failing to excite people. I don't think it's anything that's really super bad about their consoles. They've always been pretty consistent.
Yeah, they've been that way since the PS1. So, and strong library of games a lot of the time, so that helps as well.
Like some of my favorite games have always been on the PlayStation stuff, and one thing I am into when it comes to PlayStation, they seem to be really big in remastering old games. Like,
yeah,
I'm kind of excited
lately.
Like the Crash Bandicoot thing was huge for me.
Yes, that. Yeah, they remastered that. They remastered the Sparrow games. Well, they remade, Final Fantasy VII from like the ground up.
Dude,
that was
like, I think that's good. I think some people are anti-remake. I think they should kind of lean into that. I always thought they should make better use of their old catalog of games, and that's one thing that was great about the PlayStation streaming service, because it let you play some PS3 and PS2 games on the PS4. That was one of my favorite things about it. I played through like all the Sly Cooper games again on there. It was great.
Speaking of which, is it true that the PS5 is going to actually have backwards compatibility for a change?
I was hearing that rumor. I don't know anything about it though.
Because that would be great if it did. Because we haven't had like backwards compatibility since like the early PS3 console.
Honestly,
Or, like, the
backwards
initial release.
compatibility, while it sounds great, I think that would take away from what I think is the future. And I think the future is the streaming stuff. While you will be able to play the games, you'll have to pay like a subscription feed.
Yeah, but I still think that option of people being able to just play their own games if they still have it, I think that's a good option to have.
It would be great for gamers. That's the difference, though. Is it what's gonna pay them more money? People reusing their old games, or people paying a fee to play these digital versions of old games on their new console?
Well, it depends on how you do it. See, here's how I would do it. Like whatever games you have on you, those are the ones you can replay. But let's say if you wanted to get a new version, they're no longer available as far as like physical copies, so you would have to, buy them online. At least that's how I would do it.
They would have to keep making older games, which I don't know how financially tenable that is.
I think it's fun. It's a lot like old games have I think they've been on the rise lately. So
yeah, I don't know. You might have a point. I think I have my idea as to where they're going, and I don't know if I can be swayed on this. One great thing about the Switch that I think the other consoles should take note of, their online thing. First of all, it's like $20 for like a year, which is amazing. And then there's it also comes with a catalog of old games. You can play a lot of the Super Nintendo stuff, the NES, the SNES games, and they might be adding some more some N64 games at some point. That makes their online thing really worth paying for.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, as you said, $20 a year for online, and you think of Xbox, PS5, or not even just PlayStation, Xbox in general, it's around $60. So I guess you tell me I can save around $40. And how much is this Switch to get retail usually?
What was it? It's like $300 typically. It
Yeah,
depends
so
on
then
which model you get, I suppose.
well, then you could save $100 too. So it's like, okay, I'm saving around $150. So why not try the Switch?
Yeah, I really love everything they've done with it. While a lot of people may not, it kind of screams casual gaming, but it's not just casual gaming. It can be more than that. It kind of plays to the casual gamer and people who take it a little more seriously.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I think Xbox has always felt like the one that really leaned in favor of like gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And PlayStation, I'm not sure.
PlayStation, I think, was always like more in the middle.
Yeah, they haven't leaned as much on their online experience. I think they are great for the single player game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Xbox has always been more of that, online and multiplayer type of experience.
Yeah, they figured out online like earliest, like a decent online system. So that makes sense.
Yeah, wasn't that like one of the big sells of the 360?
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be a big sell at the time. Because online gaming was, it felt like a luxury at the time that most people didn't want to do, but people hopped on it.
Yeah, Microsoft was smart with that. They jumped on it when no one else was really trying that. So they capitalized on that. They capitalized on that. The multiplayer, they really went for broke with that.
I remember the PlayStation 2, like in some games I would play. I remember specifically like the Star Wars Battlefront games. They had like an online thing, but nobody really used it.
Yeah, I know that had one. The Midnight Club games had one. Oh, the later Ratchet and Clank games had one.
Oh,
I never really used any of that stuff. Yeah, like since like Up Your Arsenal, they started playing around with that stuff. I don't know how well it works, but because you need a whole like bunch of devices and stuff to do that.
Yeah, I don't really know, man.
Reminds me of the Game Boy. Reminds me of the Game Boy Advance days.
I love the Ratchet and Clank games.
Yeah. Like I said, they're coming out with a new one. Like, I forgot what it's called. Like, it kind of reminded me of what they're doing with the Crash 4 game. So, that maybe that should be out. I don't know, either like later this year or probably sometime next year. So, keep a lookout for that. And
I'm excited to try that game. It should be fun. I think they did a very good job with the Crash remakes. So I'm very optimistic about it. And they really leaned into making it a challenge. It feels kind of like a party game, like the type of game you pass around the controller between a lot of people.
What, Crash 4?
Like just the Crash games in general, because you're so subject to fail. Like it's so much less forgiving than the old games were.
Yeah.
And it's just something fun to play with somebody else, even if you're doing solo player. It's just like, oh, I failed, your turn.
Yeah, speaking of that, for what I saw of the game, Crash 4 looks like it might be the hardest Crash game. And possibly the longest one as well.
I mean, that was the selling point of the remake, so they're probably leaning into that.
Yeah, like what I saw of the game, it looks good.
Really good. Like there was a thing they changed between the old games and the remake. There's like this sort of built-in mechanic where if you get close, the game kind of nudges you onto the platform. I guess the idea is that they pretty much got rid of that.
This is my first time hearing about that.
Yeah, it's why it felt so jarring. It's really what turned it into a rage game.
Yeah, like in the original trilogy, Crash 1 was really like the only like real hard one. Like Crash 2 and Crash 3, they had their difficulties, but that stuff was like optional stuff. It wasn't like the mandatory like game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't played a lot of the Insane trilogy myself. Like I haven't really got a lot of time to do that. I tried playing Stormy Ascent and failed miserably. That was dumb on my part. That was the first level I decided to try. Because I got the game like after those levels were already released, so I was like, let me give this a try. Let's see how infamous these levels were, and I got my answer to that. But like in general, from what I'm seeing, like I think the controls is a little different from like the original. Because what I was hearing is that they were using the Crash 3 controls for all 3 games, so that can play a part in like traversing through the levels, because you gotta think about it like this, especially with the first Crash game, the levels are designed in a certain way where perhaps the Crash 3 controls may not work as well. So that's why you have people just kind of like just dying in certain jumps. Like the depth perception, I don't think is as good. Like there was some changes, basically. Look, it's hard to try to make one thing for all 3 games, especially when they all kind of control differently. Crash 2 and Crash 3 control a little similarly, so a change like that wouldn't affect that game that much. But with Crash 1, especially with how heavy Crash's original, like his original controls were, and the time slipper as well, and how tight and precise you have to do with the platforming in that game. So you really gotta be careful with that. Although what I have found interesting though is that people have been struggling with the Crash 2 and Crash 3 games as well, which actually shocked me. For example, in Crash 3, I heard they changed the jet ski controls, so it's not as smooth as it used to be. So you have to be far more precise with your jumps.
Yeah. Oh, God, that sounds rough. I haven't beaten the first of the Crash games on there yet. I keep going back to it, and I keep starting over because I take so long in between. It's hard to jump back into it.
Yeah. Like again, that's gonna be good luck with that. That's gonna be a hard experience.
We'll see. I don't think I'll ever actually get there.
Yeah, but with all that being said, a lot of people are saying Crash 4 is harder. Like people are saying Crash 4 is the hardest Crash game now. But they're also saying that Crash 4 is the best Crash game now too. So
all right. It seems like it's Tyler's time.
Yeah, I gotta go, man. I gotta write some papers for my finals, and this is the last week before Thanksgiving break. But I just want to say thank you for having me, Anthony. If you want me on another show, just hit me up, and we can definitely make something happen. I enjoyed it. I think you guys do a great job, and just overall, thank you for having me.
It was great to have you. It's been me and him this whole time, and it's nice to break up the monotony of it just being us talking about anime.
Yeah. So do you guys do this every Sunday?
The past few we have.
Yes.
All right. If you guys do one next Sunday, I'll definitely join.
Alrighty, sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
All right,
see you, man.
Okay, and now it's just the two of us.
Now we're off the rails. We had a topic and everything, and now it's this.
Yeah. Look, I had to bring my point on here, so I was thinking if I'm going to do that, we have to do things a little more professionally than we normally do.
Oh, I understand. I'm not gonna tell you not to be more professional.
I mean, I probably should anyway, but
I'm going to enjoy this no matter what. Really, I'm just glad to be here or whatever.
Yep. And this is pretty much how the show is going to be for the most part. We're going to be bringing some more people. I guess we have like on and off co-hosts because as of right now, you pretty much become the main co-host. You get I guess like on and off. I have other guests and stuff.
And I'm gonna have a little bit more time once this semester is over. Like I've been bailing out before I really want to, but I've got this is the hardest semester I've had ever. So I once I'm done with this, I'm going back to only taking one class at a time. But right now my schedule is a little more full than I'd like it to be. I can't turn back now though; it's too late.
Dude, I feel you. Like I'm doing 4 classes right now, and 3 of those are like the RTV classes, and those are very demanding. So, like for example, like this one right here, like part of what I'm doing this podcast for also is partially for school.
Yeah.
So, and that has been
sorry to interrupt you, but Swamp's in the chat, and I just want to say my conure is right here. And thank you for tuning in. As you were saying, sorry.
Yeah. No, I lost my train of thought. Well, I set up my microphone finally. I don't know if it's... Oh. It's not working anymore. I have to charge it.
His name is Peridot, like from Steven Universe.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen it, but like it's a great show. He's getting into trouble. No, you don't do that. Okay, you can play right over there. If I leave him alone for just a second, he gets into stuff. My girlfriend left out her painting stuff before she left the house, so he wants to try and drink her paint water.
All right. So we had a question from Jennifer. So if the Wii was released today during COVID, do you think it would have done better financially?
Like the Wii initially, didn't it do like really well?
It did. Until the other consoles came out. So
I think COVID, while a lot of people are bored, also a lot of people don't have like free money to spend around. I think that's a huge problem. A lot of people, there's a lot of permanent job loss. So I would say that COVID is actually going to be pretty bad for consoles in general, and I don't think the Wii would be any different. Because you need people to have expendable income.
Yeah. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I wonder how that's going to affect like Christmas season.
Oh, it's probably going to be rough on a lot of people. Like, there's some people who've been able to kind of coast through this or whatever, but some people, their job's not going to be there. Like when this is all over.
Oof. Yeah, that's
like
gonna,
I just like
that's gonna be
like last week or maybe the week before, I like officially got that call from the job I wasn't going back to. Like I was pretty much done there anyway when they put me on furlough, but I got the call and it's like, nope, we're not opening back up for a while, and I get the sense that the whole place is going to be closing down.
So what was you like laid off?
I am, as of now, laid off. Like I was on furlough for a while, but now I'm laid off.
Oh, okay. So are you just going to school now then?
Yeah, I'm doing school, and YouTube is my only source of income.
Yeah, but like, are you making any decent money with that? At least like
I'm
financially
making
for you, for you to be financially.
YouTube is inconsistent. Like 1 month I got like $1,000, another month I got like $600, and I've been kind of anywhere between there. And like for a month, that's not a lot of money, but also my last job didn't pay me a lot of money either. But the fact that I'm not guaranteed any particular amount of money is kind of a scary thing about doing the YouTube thing. That's why I would like to set up like a membership program or something and have something to supplement that. But I can't really do that until after my classes, because if I'm going to be doing like a membership program asking people to fork over $1 a month or whatever, then I want to at least be able to do something for them.
Yeah, I but definitely try to do that. Like,
Yeah.
you need some change in your pocket. So
Yeah, like $1 or $2 a month, and I'll give you like a bonus video or something. Most of it's probably not going to be worth it, but most of it's just people who have just been reaching out to me like, how do I support you or whatever. And people are so cool about that. I wasn't expecting that.
that's good that people want to support you.
Yeah, it's humbling, but it also puts on the pressure. Like, oh, I've got to keep doing this and doing it as well as I am doing, if not better. Like, I don't want to disappoint these people.
Of course. Just keep doing what you're doing. Again, you've already reached like 20,000 plus subs, so that's very impressive.
Dude, like it's very exciting. I'm hoping by next week we'll be at 21,000, because we are on the road to 25K, and I'm hoping I'm pretty confident I can get there by the end of the year, but also I'm not sure. I might be a little shy of it by the end of the year, but we'll see.
Yeah. So Swampy was saying Wii Sports is the best-selling video game with 45.7 million copies.
I'm not at all surprised. That was one of the big things. That's like the one thing that the Wii had, like motion control wise, that I really, really liked. I was not a huge fan of the motion controls because they weren't quite perfect yet. I don't really like the sensor bar thing. I like when motion controls are like the little ball in the middle of the controller that can like tell if you're tilting it or shaking it or whatever. But the little sensor bar thing was a little bit of a mess sometimes, especially if you didn't have like that kind of space. Some people have a lot of space in their living room. Some people don't.
Yeah. like yeah, that was honestly quite annoying because I remember that was not working at some time. So
Hmm.
and you have to, yeah. Also, wasn't a big fan of you having to constantly charge it as well.
Hmm. Swamp's bringing up the Xbox Connect, and that was also kind of a pain. I oof. I had this job where I worked with kids, and I had to supervise them during their playtime, and we had an Xbox, but they don't want the kids playing with a controller, so it's just the Kinect. And a lot of these kids are so young that they can't read well or understand the directions, so they're just standing like jumping up and down in front of it, like, why is this not working? And it's hardly their fault because it wasn't that receptive to begin with. Even the adults would come over and help, and they couldn't do much, and they'd just be like, oh, sorry, I guess it's broken. And I've done that a handful of times when I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I never used the Xbox Connect, so I don't really know how that was going.
Oh, that's
Mr. Swampy
another
was also
thing.
saying something about never use PlayStation sticks.
PlayStation sticks.
What?
I don't know what that is. Just set it up for each person. That's why. Oh, yeah. So what was I gonna say?
Yeah, I
I
think
had
he's talking about like. Oh,
sorry. You first.
no. All right. So I was gonna say like this is I now remember like this is around the time everyone was trying to jump on the Wii train and to varying degrees of success. Because I remember I think the PS2 actually also had something kind of similar to that, like with that camera thing.
Yeah.
The PS2 had a
Yeah, they
camera
do.
thing at one point, but yeah, everybody was trying to jump on that Wii. And honestly, I was not a fan of that since I wasn't the biggest fan of the Wii controls themselves. Like to me, it was like a fun thing at the moment, but it kind of got old after a while. It was just it was a novelty thing, and then seeing everybody kind of jump into that, I was like, please don't let this become like an actual gaming thing. I don't want gaming consoles to evolve into this. I prefer to play my video game consoles with a regular controller.
You know, I just remembered something, and it kind of relates to the conversation we were having earlier, and it relates to motion controls and stuff. The Kinect. Do you remember when the Xbox One was going to launch, and they were going to make it so that you had to have the Kinect connected, and people were so concerned that people were going to be spying on them through the Kinect? It was like a thing where you couldn't turn it off.
No, I haven't heard about that.
That was one of the things where they were forcing the Kinect into basically your room, to the living room or whatever. And that's another thing, like the Red Ring of Death, which caused a lot of bad faith with the Xbox 360. That is one of the big things that hurt the initial launch of the Xbox One. Even though they didn't end up going through with that, that caused a lot of people to flip over to PlayStation. And that's another reason why PlayStation kind of destroyed them, because it's okay if you want to add new features or whatever. Like the Wii did that, the Wii U did that, the Switch is doing that very well right now. What the Xbox was doing, that felt very forced. They're like they were trying to feed us something that people weren't ready for.
Yeah. But I still think part of the reason why the PS3 won ultimately is because they just still had a better library of games compared to the other two. Not to say that those consoles didn't have good games. It's just that PS3 had the best of the bunch.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, I'm sticking with the Switch for now.
I would like to get a PS5 at some point, but when the prices go down and when more games come out.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm actually looking forward to this generation. Like, this is probably the most excited I have been for a console gaming generation that I've in a while. Like, I haven't really been this excited for since Gen 6. Because if I'm being honest here, I wasn't really a big fan of the seventh generation. I felt that was kind of stale.
Yeah.
Generation 8, again, was mostly stale until the back end of it, particularly from like 2017 to now when, Switch came out. That transitional period, because I feel like when like a lot of the best games of that generation started coming out.
Yeah.
But before that, I was just like, yawn. Because another thing too is that what I also didn't really like with the PS3 and the Xbox especially is that they were coming out with a lot of the same kind of games. Again, not really differentiating, themselves from each other. So it wasn't just the console designs. It was also the
Yeah.
games that were coming out too. A lot of them felt the same.
Yeah, I get that. We have some generations have had stronger exclusives than others. This one, I think I'm about as excited about this as I have been with the last two. I've always been kind of a person who's stuck with the older console for a little while, just kind of let it be for a bit, and after seeing a lot of the reaction, kind of picking. Like I lingered on the PlayStation 3 for a while. I lingered on the PS4 for a while, and I lingered on the PS2 and the PS3 for a while, and I'm probably going to do the same with the PS4. But really, I don't know if I need a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series, whatever. Like, that's actually bad marketing there. The Xbox's name is even worse than it was last time.
Xbox
Series X or whatever. Like, the Xbox One thing was stupid because it's not the first Xbox. And the Xbox 360 thing, like, what does that even mean? They've not been very good at naming their consoles. They've been like trying to do different stuff from the PlayStation, but I think it would have made more sense if they just did Xbox 2, Xbox 3, Xbox 4. Because the other stuff is just, it doesn't have any meaning to it. It's just a name for the sake of a name.
Yeah, because they were trying to go for the cool factor, but they weren't consistent with it. Like when they came out with the 360, everyone thought, okay, so they're gonna go that route with it, like 720 and whatever else comes after that. Although if they were gonna do that, then they should have started with 180. That would have been the smart decision.
Yeah, then I don't think they could have anticipated where they were going with that. I think they're just making it up as they go along.
Yeah, again, it's like that whole, you have a paper due and you decide to wait until the last minute. Oh wait. Oh yeah, we need to come up with a name for this console. Quick, what sounds cool?
Yeah.
How about the Xbox One? All right, cool. Let's do it. We'll go with that.
It's so weird.
It was such a stupid name. I think that was another thing that I think what they're undoing, because that amount of confusion, I think, did not do them well.
All right, to answer Swamp's question about my bird, his name is Peridot. He missed it last time. Peridot is the green character from Steven Universe, and they have the same personality. And Swamp's saying he has a Quaker? You have a Quaker parrot? I'm jealous, because they are pretty rad. So, have you checked out anything new this week outside of gaming? Is there anything I should prepare to talk about in the coming weeks?
Well, we still gotta watch Bird and the Witch.
Oh God, this is gonna be every single week until I don't know when we're actually gonna do it, but this is gonna be a big build. We'll do it for like our 100th episode or something.
Or either that or whenever Mugetsu comes back.
Yeah, if we can get Mugetsu on more consistently, that would be great. Like he's a great person to talk about anime with. I think if we all like did little, I don't know, episode reviews, season reviews or something together, I think that would be really rad. I think the season reviews are very good for us because we really like to meander and go into depth.
Yes. So that's all right. So that's something we'll be discussing at some point. Like a laundry list of stuff we can try watching. For example, Richard, he was suggesting him to watch Fire Force. So that's
Oh
something we can
yeah,
all
that
watch.
looks good.
He watched it, so I guess just we need to just kind of catch on that, and then I guess we'll do like discussion that's finished.
Yeah, that
Oh,
seems like
and,
a show. I actually might check that out pretty soon. I was a huge fan of the Soul Eater stuff, though Soul Eater, it always had the problem where it didn't know how to end. It had both the anime and manga, both of which had poor endings and they were completely different. That's one thing that scares me about getting into that stuff. I feel like this is going to be a really cool show, and then I'll get to the end and I'll be brokenhearted again because the author just doesn't know how to end stuff.
well, that's I don't know, a lot of authors seem to have that issue, especially with a series that's been going on for a long time. It's like, how do you even end this?
Yeah, Soul Eater, in the grand scheme of things, wasn't super long.
No,
it had like for the show, it had like one like really long season, like 60 something episodes, maybe. The manga had like 113 chapters, which it's starting to lean into becoming a long anime, but like it's one of the longer short animes is what I would think about it as.
Yeah, like I don't know. I would probably say it's somewhere in the middle, really.
Yeah, it's a long short anime or a short long anime.
Yeah, I would say short long anime.
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know. I guess the show feels kind of short. Like 60 episodes is not a lot, but for the manga, like 100 something chapters is kind of impressive. I don't know. The numbers feel so very different. What?
You said 100?
113 chapters.
Oh, that's kind of short, honestly.
Yeah, and they had the Soul Eater Not series, which was actually really good.
Yeah, so I would say it's a long short series then.
Yeah, it's a good show, and I'm excited to check out Fire Force. I don't know, with the Soul Eater stuff, the manga ending, I guess you could say that was pretty good, but the anime ending was like it's one of those things like power of friendship type of endings, like
yeah,
one of those things where they don't overcome the foe with like creative battle stuff, but it's a very emotional thing, and sometimes that feels cheesy, sometimes it feels like a Deus Ex Machina type of thing, like I was brave, therefore you can't touch me because I'm not scared of you. Kind of leans into that sort of stuff.
It could be worse though.
Oh, I've seen worse, but
like, I don't know.
It's still one of my favorite series overall.
That's cool. Like, what would be in your top 10 series like so far? Do you like have a top 10 at all?
I don't know if I could come up with a top 10. I could give you some that like really stand out to me. Yu Yu Hakusho is probably my favorite like fighting anime. Like it had some faults, but the Chapter Black arc is still one of my favorite things in all of anime.
Yeah.
And they knew how to do a tournament well. That's one of those things. They did a lot of the stuff that I ended up liking in Dragon Ball Super, like long before they ended up doing it on that. Another show I like. You ever see Welcome to the NHK?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to get around to watching that.
That is, and I'll stand by this. That is probably the best short anime you'll ever watch. Like that's my favorite short anime. It's like 24 episodes.
Yeah, I remember watching a review from Gigok. If you've ever heard of him, he did a review of it back in the day.
I'm not sure who that is, but there were a lot of names going around back then, so I'm not surprised if a few slipped through the cracks.
It's funny you say that though, because he has like 1 million subscribers now.
Dude, it's amazing.
Yeah, he's in that
anime review community is so big.
Yeah, you actually got people getting into that million mark now. He's in there. I think the Anime Man, he's on there.
Oh, Anime Man though, that's for other stuff. He's not like a typical anime reviewer though. He's like hanging out with PewDiePie and stuff. So he's on another level. It's not like the For Never World types and like the Sawyers and the Double Fours who like just did anime reviews. That was their thing.
Yeah, and all those guys are like except for maybe Double Four. I don't know what happened to him, but the rest of them, I think they're all like in the 100 sub category right now. Well, I'm not too sure about Sawyer, but I know For Never World, like King of Lightning, Tekking, like all those guys are in the 100 sub count now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure For Never's. I think they're all dancing around 500,000. I'm not sure. No, Sawyer's like 250,000. I just looked him up, but the other two are close to, if not at 500,000.
Yeah, they're all doing very well, but then again, those guys also have been doing it for a while too, so they have that going for them.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool that it's still around the way it is. I haven't watched much of that stuff since I stopped doing it, so it's weird looking back at it.
Yeah, so like, are you excited now to actually try to get into some new stuff?
I think so. I think doing anime stuff again and like not making a big deal out of it is probably for the best. Like, I think doing the YouTube stuff, mixing that with something that's supposed to be fun can be a little difficult. You don't want to turn something fun into a chore.
Yeah, that's why I stopped doing reviews. Because remember, I was, I was playing around with that for a while, and I was like, you know what? I don't really like doing this. This isn't really fun for me, and look, there's a lot of prep for me, and like, I was like, I'm expanding a lot of energy just to put out like a 10, 20-minute review of something I am slowly losing interest in.
Yeah.
So at one point, I was just doing live reactions. I was like, all right, fine, I'll just do that.
Yeah, and that's a perfectly acceptable format.
And then
it's raw. Like, that's something I like about stuff like that. I enjoy raw reactions to stuff.
Yeah, but then I stopped doing that too because I was like, I don't know. Like, it depends on the series. Like, I was trying to do a One Piece, but One Piece is really wordy and stuff. So I was just like, this is becoming more of a chore to do a live reaction of. So I stopped doing that. Like, it probably would have been better if I was doing it like during Dressrosa, like an arc I absolutely, even to this day, still dislike. Not necessarily despise nowadays, but reading that week to week was annoying. So that I probably would have been able to get more mileage doing live reactions during that point in time. But like doing live reactions with like Bleach and Naruto, like that stuff was. Depending on times, it could be fun. I don't know how this is gonna sound like, but there are times, at least I know, like while reading Bleach, I almost got enjoyment out of getting angry about it. Like,
yeah,
it was kind of fun for me.
That was a bad time for at least 2 out of the big 3. It was a very slow time.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were both in their final arcs, and they were something to say the least. So, but yeah, I would probably say I had more fun being mad at Bleach than I did have being mad at Naruto.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Naruto, I feel like in hindsight, I'm not as upset about it. I think following it as closely as I did may not have been the best way to do it. I think Naruto is better in large chunks than in little bits at a time. I don't know about Bleach.
I would definitely say that for Bleach because, Bleach, like, from week to week, Bleach had the least amount of content of the big three. Like, there was a joke people say that you could read Bleach in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Although I would argue you could probably read it even, less time than that, depending on your computer speed. Not even like your reading speed, because there really wasn't that much to read. Like at one point, it just became like a picture book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bleach art style was very. The way they did it was so simplistic. Like there was a lot of white space on it. I honestly would expect it to have a lot more as far as dialogue goes for that.
Yes. Yeah, with little to no backgrounds.
Yeah, like you look at that compared to like the One Piece backgrounds, and it's a different world. One Piece might be too much. Swamp's asking, did you say you lost interest in anime? I think that was me. He's asking. I think I said something about that. Yeah, I lost interest in it for a while. Like when I stopped, when I pretty much privated my whole YouTube channel because I was just so sick of it, and I didn't really. It was a bad time for anime as well. Like a lot of the anime coming out at the time was just dragging. Even the series that I did once enjoy a lot, like Naruto, had become a bit more of a chore during that final arc where everything was moving at a snail's pace. And the fact that I felt obligated to keep up with stuff like that, I think that's really what did it. I think being able to binge stuff a little bit more than I used to is definitely helping. I don't want to follow a series as it's coming out. I'd rather wait for the whole thing to be over and then watch it. My back.
Yeah, like I would definitely say that I lost interest at one point, probably like around the same time you. Because remember, we all kind of fell off around the same time. It just kind of happened that way. But you was absolutely right though. It really was becoming a chore, and it wasn't just like like the ongoing series or even like the ongoing long series. It was the seasonal anime too that was starting to get kind of bad at a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I think for a while a lot of the seasonal anime was a little bit stale. There was a lot of the action harem series coming out, and like every once in a while you'll have like a harem anime that actually like has a half good story, but most of them are about the same. What gave me a lot of hope is I remember when My Hero Academia was like first coming out, it hadn't really picked up a lot of traction over here yet because it didn't have an anime yet. I remember checking that out when like the manga first came out. But once the anime like exploded over here, I felt like we started seeing a lot of promising stuff follow that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like before, another thing too, I would say that was also, at least I know heard it from me, is that there was a lot of series I felt like that were kind of getting overhyped. In a sense, like there was some series I was that people were hyping me up, like that didn't really live up to the hype in my opinion, or just wasn't as good as people were saying it was. There were a few that were just flat out awful. One example would be Akame Kill. That was a big series that came out in 2014 as far as the anime is concerned. Everyone was hyping that up, even like the big reviewers. They was like, "Yo, this is like the big appeal of that series was that it was essentially like I'm trying to see how to explain this. People are hyping up because I guess I'm assuming that was probably some like battle showing fatigue characters, but actually dying like main characters, and you had. I guess what some people were saying, like a no-nonsense main character, or at least one that would actually kill people.
I guess that I can see the appeal of that during that time. I didn't end up. I watched like the first couple episodes of that. I didn't really get into it.
The only problem though is that it wasn't very good from a writing standpoint. In fact, it was kind of a mess, even like at the very beginning. Like the main character, a lot of people also praising him for being different, but he really wasn't. Like his personality was just like your typical personality you would find in like a harem ecchi series.
Yeah.
He was that kind of protagonist. The only difference is that he killed people, except for the fact that after he did it, he reveals like, oh, I don't like killing people. I have an issue killing people, even though he had no problem doing it in the first episode. But then he brings up in the second one, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
I mean, it's okay.
It still does it anyway.
Character
Like,
has remorse or whatever. I'm not like opposed to that, but I guess that just wasn't what you were looking for in that show.
No, I don't even know what I was looking for. I was just checking it out just to find some new anime to watch outside of like the big three or whatever. And that was a roller coaster ride for like all the wrong reasons. Because I would say like around when they started killing off like the main characters, when the series started getting stupid. Because first off, how they actually wind up killing some of the characters off made absolutely no sense. There was a lot of power scaling issues. There was like random like abilities and stuff that characters were pulling out of their behinds out of nowhere to save themselves. And then on the flip side, you had characters dying through plot and through stupidity. Doing things that would honestly make no sense for them to be doing, but they have to die because plot. And there's a lot of that. Like, it got really frustrating after a while. I'm just like, why am I putting myself through this? And then like the overhype of that series irritated me even more than it probably should have.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, when I watched it the second time around with my sister, I actually wound up enjoying it a lot more. But that's because I stopped taking the series seriously and just kind of embraced its stupidity.
Yeah, I think getting caught up in like the community stuff and what everybody else thinks about stuff is also going to like drag down the experience a little bit.
Yeah, but the other issue with the Comic Kill is that it was a stupid series with a lot of bad writing. But the biggest issue of all was that it actually took itself seriously. It was kind of all dark and foreboding. Like,
yeah.
But again, the amount of stupidity that was happening was it contradicted it, and I'm just like, what kind of tone are they trying to have here? Like they're trying to have the tone so seriously, but then they have all this nonsense happening, and it was hard. I was just like, wow. And that's why I'm saying it's a bad series. Like, now I will say this: like, even if it was comedic, like the bad writing would still be there, but it wouldn't be as egregious if it wasn't trying to be like this over the top action drama and just embrace what it is, which is a stupid action comedy, really. Which is funny because they still had like a few comedy moments. They even had fan service moments.
Yeah.
But in the most random of places, again, very jarring. It had some of the worst tone issues I've ever seen. It's just, yeah, it was a mess. So for anyone that wants to watch that series, I really suggest just turn your brain off.
Something else.
Just turn your brain off if you're going to watch it. If you do that, you will have a great time. I guarantee you that. Because when I watched it the second time, my sister, we were on the floor. Yeah. So I guess that's my endorsement and hate for that series. But go check it out.
So it's about my time. I've got to get back to work, unfortunately.
That's fine. I guess it's gonna be one of the shorter episodes.
Yeah, I mean, we went a little over an hour, though. On my screen, it says 41 minutes. The counter has stopped going on my end, but we went a little over an hour in the real thing.
Yeah, I can still see the count. It was almost an hour and 10 minutes. So we actually did good, and plus we actually covered probably a lot more than we have in these first few episodes.
We were a lot more concise this time.
Yeah. But yeah, that was that. Yeah, this was a great episode. I finally got to use my, if I can show you, microphone this time.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Well, I'm
working.
not
You
sure
sound the same
if
as
I'm.
you've always sounded, honestly.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't got this attached right yet, but I like it's the idea that I have it set up.
It feels better sitting in front of a microphone.
Yes, even if it's not even working properly, but
Gotcha.
look, I got the setup.
Yeah.
And all that. But yeah, like this was a great episode, I would say. Make
Sure.
sure to make sure to follow us. Subscribe to my channel at DJ McGame 17 and whatever other channels I decide to put out. Because I am trying to make a YouTube page for this thing specifically. In regards to the audio versions, those are going to be posted on there, but I'll keep the streams on here. Of course, subscribe to my co-host here. He's trying to reach 25K. Let's make sure he gets to that before the end of the year.
Yeah,
So what,
if
we got,
I
like, about 4,000 left.
At one point I was doing 100 subs a day. I'd like to get back to that, and if we do that, I'm on a very good track. Hopefully by
100
next
subs a
week.
day. What?
Yeah. You know what? Slight little tangent. There was one point like early on where I was at like 600 subs a day.
Yeah.
And it slowed down a little bit. I don't know what happened. My videos were just being recommended to a lot of people. But yeah, I'd like to get back to 100 subs a day, and that would I'd be content with that. I'd be more than content with that. That's a very good rate.
That again, like that's great, dude.
Dude, well, I don't know how long this this hype is gonna last. We're gonna see. I think when I finish doing all my videos on the Hamilton soundtrack, a lot of people are gonna drop off, but we'll see.
I think when this podcast finally starts gaining some steam, I think you'll get your second wind.
Yeah, I will end up sharing this with some people eventually. I wanted to get through a few episodes of us kind of like working stuff out before I started sharing this with my people, but eventually I'm going to at least post on Twitter and be like, "Hey, we're doing the live show." But like when it's a new thing, you want to make sure you work out the kinks first before I start sharing it with people. So, but I like how we're doing it.
Yeah,
I've got like 400 people on Twitter too, so that should at least be something.
Yeah, I actually started sharing it today since Tyler's going to be on. So I was like, all right, let me start promoting this a little now since I haven't really done any real promotion at all for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're off to a great start, and we will continue on for the I don't know, I guess the rest of the time. Again, we'll be bringing Swampy, Richard, and some other people. We still got that Japan story you guys got to tell, so be look out for that. That should be a fun one.
That sounds like fun.
Yes. So, any last thoughts?
No.
All right. So, thank you for coming, Brady. Again, subscribe to my man here. 25K. That's what we try to get him at.
Yeah. I'll need a new hashtag once we get to it.
50K, obviously.
Can't just be road to 50K. I've got to. It's got to be a different sort of thing. It's got to be like a ladder to 50K. It's going to be a different sort of means of travel every single time. It's going to be great.
Well, when you get to 50K, you can make that one journey to 100K. So,
ooh, and I'll be on that journey for a long time because that's a big jump.
It is.
Oof.
Next time we could also, if we ever get around to it, also talk about the Broly movie.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I was gonna watch it this week, but I didn't get around to it.
All right, so if we both get a chance to watch it, we'll talk about that next time or whatever else happens.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna be busy this week, but if I get some free time, I will. Somewhere,
all right,
wherever it is.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you, man.
All right. Thank you for coming, Brady, and thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back next week for another episode of the Better Late Than Never podcast. Or BTLMP for short.
Very good.
Because we're always late. That's the slogan.
Yes, indeed.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.